to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Here is our 200th anniversary. Enjoy. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Okay, tell us about your background, like in the whole family business, because I think this is super cool.
Okay, so I am third generation at A to Z Insurance. My grandfather started it. We were founded in 1919, and so it was he that started it, and then my dad, and now me.
That is so cool. So where has it grown? Like, how did it start, and then where has it grown? You do auto, home, personal?
Yes, we do everything for property and casualty. So we do home, auto, vacation, rentals, and then we do business. So like your work comp, your general liability, your excess, professional, everything.
Was it always like that when your grandfather started it, or did it kind of grow into including all those things?
I think it grew. Actually, I've never explored what it was like when it first started. It might have just been personal lines as much. But yeah, now we have about half and half.
Oh, like, 'cause I was so fascinated about stuff like that, like what the need was for it back then and how it grew, because I don't think even everybody had insurance back then.
No, they didn't. And it's been nice because with the changes in the market, sometimes it's better to have, like, if one side of the market drops, we still have that solid other half of the business, depending on whether personal lines is dropping or commercial lines is dropping or picking up.
So what's been going on? There was COVID, there was this, there was that. What has impacted this business? I'd love to know.
Oh my gosh, COVID has completely impacted because, of course, when it first came out, there were lots of people that were putting in claims. So one of the things that business owners were trying to do were put in claims for employees having COVID or having issues. And the companies said, you know, that's not a covered, basically, cause on your policy. It doesn't cover viruses. So since it first came out, there have been tons and tons of changes, like almost on a daily basis. You get emails saying they've started changing this aspect of the health exclusions or other policies saying, oh, we're taking this out, we're putting this in, we're like, this isn't included. So it's constantly changing, kind of like the cyber market.
Would you even think about it? Because, I mean, that'd be a brand new, there's never been a pandemic like that where you had to actually even see what could be done. I mean, was your mind just like...
Yes, it was interesting to see how it was going to play out. But at the same time, on the most basic level, like work comp especially is for injuries. So really, if you have COVID or you're shutting down because of COVID, like you had to let your employees go, there's no actual injury there. Like, yes, they're not working because of that, but that's a government mandated thing.
Right.
And they're not injured. They didn't break their leg or strain their back or poke themselves in the eye. There's no injury there per se to claim, so it kind of makes sense. And then the administration came out and said, oh, you know, you should do the right thing and cover these claims. And it was like, you can't just proclaim as president to cover a whole industry wide.
Yeah, because when you get a claim, you're getting a claim here and there, and you're not getting the whole business is throwing a claim
right.
at you.
I mean, you bankrupt the whole industry, and
right.
I think that that's one of the things that we talked about. You know, not everybody loves insurance, but it's something that you need to have. And if you bankrupt the whole industry, nobody will have that. You know, having your auto policy, like if you get in an accident, everything's a pool. That takes the burden off the people. The insurance companies pool that money. But you don't have to pay for your whole accident if you back into a cement post. You know, you pay your deductible and that's it. But if there are no insurance companies to help the people take that burden off when there's an accident, it's not helping. It's actually hurting.
So how did you guys navigate through that?
So on that, we would turn in the claims because, you know, if the insured wants to turn it in, we would turn it in and kind of knew how it was going to turn out. But you still have to do, you know, what's right for the insured, which if that's putting in a claim and then the denial, which is not always as wonderful, but when you know it's coming, at least we are very upfront with our customers. So we tell them, you know, we told them from the get-go, this is probably not going to be covered. This is what we're hearing. It's not technically an injury. It's a new frontier. Like, we've never had a pandemic like this before. We don't know how it's going to turn out. but it's probably not going to be covered. So we prepare people. We don't just blindside them and
So they
be like,
kinda
let's see
knew,
how it
yeah.
goes. Yeah, they kind of know. So
And then when there was offering like EDD and everything, that kind of took a little bit of the burden off.
yes, it
But you didn't
definitely
know that
did.
in those first
No,
early
right.
stages, yeah.
We didn't know that to begin with. And then that only helped for so long because we're technically a small business too. It's not
Yeah.
a huge agency. So when
Where
we
do you
saw-
guys cover, by the way, A to Z? Is it?
I write business in all of California.
Also, it's all California, so,
So-
it's not national, it's statewide.
It's statewide.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the state of California. But I write everywhere. I mean, I have since I went to school in the Bay Area. I have customers in Northern California, Southern California, and then of course the most of our like personal is here in Fresno, locally supporting the community. But it's nice. It's a nice broad spectrum.
Right. So yeah, you are still like a family business as well that you can't, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that we have seen as far as insurance issues is insurance is expensive. And if you don't have a lot of revenue coming in, I mean, it can be burdensome. So if you don't have the employees, but you want to keep your workers' comp going so that you don't have that lapse in coverage, which insurance companies don't like, it makes it difficult to tell people like, you know, if you want to keep that together, like keep the policy going, and they're going, but we're not making any money and we don't have any employees, it makes it difficult. And we did see firsthand a lot of businesses go out of business because they couldn't.
Wow.
They couldn't afford it. They didn't have enough money to keep their employees, let alone, you know, their insurance. So especially the mom and pops that you see that have been here for so many years, kind of like ours, especially restaurants and things like that. I'm sure you've noticed that aren't
Yeah.
there anymore. They're not coming back. It's very sad.
Wow. So that did kind of take a dive in your business?
Yeah,
at
it
that,
absolutely
right?
did. Yeah, we definitely saw a drop in business. Or well, the first wave was people going without that couldn't. They'd say, I have to let the insurance go. I don't have the extra money for this, and they would keep like just the liability if they'd let the work comp go. And then slowly, like if they couldn't make that back, when the government didn't let everybody open up, a lot of them were just like, we're not coming back.
Wow.
We're just closing. And it is sad because I know a lot of people didn't see that side of it, but it absolutely happened.
And nobody's hearing your side of it too. Because everyone, like you said, we just think bad of insurance companies until we need it. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, they're just trying to take our money. And that's completely false.
Completely false. And we really, I mean, we love our customers. A lot of them we've had for 50 years. You know, I still have people that my grandfather wrote
Wow, that's gotta
that
be,
call
wow.
in. So they're like, I remember your grandpa. Is he still there? And
I love
he's
that.
not still here, but like he originally wrote my policy, and it's crazy to have people remember your grandfather writing a policy
That is.
for them that many years ago.
So what are some of the misconceptions everybody has nowadays? What are some of the things you want to dispel for us? Because there's so many questions, everything's changing. What are some of the things you could tell us?
One major change that I have seen is with inflation, with everything that's happening, the replacement cost on people's homes has gotten widely out of whack. Now, people used to think they'd see that dwelling value on their home policy and say, well, my house isn't even worth that. But that's completely different from the cost to rebuild your home. So one of the things that the insurance companies do is a replacement cost estimator, which determines how much it would cost to rebuild that home, because the insurance company can't just buy you a new home somewhere else. They have to
Right.
rebuild that house for you where it stands the way you have it, which is what people would want. And that cost has skyrocketed because they have to factor in construction and materials, labor, like whether or not they can even get the parts or the cabinets or the hardware.
Right.
I mean, all of that stuff has been crazy. I had policies that I was even quoting for like new business. I would say probably a year and a half ago now, a year and a half ago, where I had quoted somebody's home policy and they didn't take it right away. They called back like 3 months later, and I did the new replacement cost estimator,
Wow.
and it went up $100,000 on that home. I was like, holy cow. So that gives you an idea of how much things have gone up. When they tell you things aren't going up, they are absolutely going up, and they're affecting everything. So it's really important for people to look at their home policies. If your agent is not going through, look at your own policy. Call call anybody, call us, say, hey, can you look at this?
So what does that
Like,
mean? So when everything goes up, that means they have to pay you more because,
It means you want to have your, well, technically.
or you just want to up your.
You want to up your limits. Yes, absolutely. You want to up your home insurance so that actually covers the cost if, God forbid, you have a fire. Because I have to say, I've had, not in my whole career, I haven't had that many, but I've had several fires just in the last couple years that have taken the entire property. So it absolutely happens. And if you don't have enough
Especially
insurance,
in California, it happens.
absolutely. And they've been local too, not even like foothills. If you have a home fire or even at your business and you don't have enough insurance for it, there's a small extended replacement cost, but not every agent puts that on. So it depends on who your agent is, how well did they put your policy together. Maybe you don't have that on there. So it's extremely important to not be caught off guard without the insurance. And yeah, that is one thing that I've had so many people say they didn't even think about that. So definitely, that's something I would say. Think about it, look at your policy, call your agent, ask them.
How much does it usually go? So okay, when you did that, if you could give us a roundabout, when you gave that quote and you said it went up 100,000, how much did that make their insurance go up to get that more coverage on them?
It's not astronomical.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's not astronomical. It's not the way people think. Like, it depends. Like, if the house is like a $1.5 million house, it's probably going to be a couple $100. If it's, a $500,000 house, it's probably going to be like $80 to $100 or something like that.
That's not bad.
It's not gonna break the bank, and then you'll have that. And one thing that a lot of companies are offering $1 million for personal liability now too, which they didn't used to. And the cost between what they used to offer and $1 million now is like $20. So absolutely look at those things on your policy.
Oh, okay. So what do you think when people when you rent a car and then they want you to get their insurance for while you're using the car rental? Is that important to do or should you not?
It depends on where you are. So if you're in California, I can speak to my markets. I don't know. So I don't know what the captives, like maybe State Farm or Allstate, those kind of companies, how they do it. I imagine it's the same. So for ours, if you go to rent a car, you don't need to take their insurance. You're covered. You're covered for other private passenger vehicles. So if you have a Toyota Corolla and you want to rent another private passenger car from Hertz, you're covered for that.
So it's not really important to get the day.
It's not, unless you want.
But that saves the deductible on you, though. So
yes, it does.
That's just if the off chance that something happens.
And the off chance, but you can't rent like a U-Haul and expect to have that covered. It's other cars like yours. But yeah, it's covered. If you're not sure, just call your agent and ask them. But yeah, you don't have to take that.
Okay. Okay, so what are some of the other things that are going on that people want to know about that people aren't sure?
I would say, for insurance, the values of your policies are probably the most important. Was there any particular side of the?
Well, we were talking about a little bit how politics has changed. Things like that on the market of getting houses, getting all that. Where do you see, what are some things that people need to be aware of? Okay, so if I'm going to go buy a house tomorrow, what are some of the things I need to be aware of to get a whole insurance policy for that?
So some of the things where politics have changed a little bit are a lot of the things that people are required to do now where you didn't have to. So there's some, a while back, they started doing fire sprinklers in new homes, and now you are required to have solar. So now all new homes have solar, which is a cost to the homeowner as well. I mean, it's nice, but it's something that's required, that is upkeep, that adds to the cost of your home. So there are a lot of little things, a lot of rules and regulations that are being passed, even local things that'll be on the ballot, like taxes, or there's one for Fresno State that's coming up. There are lots of little things, and I would say watch those, because those are all things that, not even so much as insurance, but those are all things that you're going to see on your tax bills. They look little, but if you look at your tax bill as a whole, at the end, there's going to be a string of probably 20 things, because every time you vote for something, the one that most people could probably relate to would be the zoo tax. Okay. That's one of them that's going to be on there that you can see. And a lot of times your tax bill, depending on what your properties are, you could have several $1,000s worth of extra taxes depending on what you own.
Okay, so about the zoo bill, so that was a tax voters probably didn't even know was really going to get them at the end. Explain that to us a little bit.
So the zoo tax was something that we had voted on initially some years ago, and it was one of those bonds that was supposed to expire. But whenever things come up to expire, there's always a coalition or a group that wants to extend that to
Right.
keep it on. And so that's what happened. And to be honest, the zoo tax was extremely popular, but I don't think a lot of people realized what the money was actually going towards. They, in their mind, and it makes sense that it's going towards the exhibits and the animals are benefiting from it. And it's great for Fresno. But I was actually just out. There was like a service day that I went out with my dad on, and we helped like some of the kids do some projects there. And then we got to go around the zoo after. But looking at some of the exhibits, they had huge new exhibits that they were building, but the old exhibits were in almost like a disrepair. I actually took pictures of some of the stuff, like mile-high weeds. The seal enclosure is like completely covered in algae on the floor. Like, and I know that happens over time, but in my opinion, it looks like it hasn't been cleaned or kept up in quite some time.
And we're paying for it.
And
our taxes are paying for it.
You're absolutely paying for it. So what makes sense to me is that money is all going towards new exhibits because it's not going towards the ones that are already there. The tortoise didn't even have water when we were there.
Oh, that's terrible, especially in this heat.
I know. Like, and it was a couple months ago, but still, yeah, we were like, how can there not be any water? Like, I understand they can live without it, but do they need to? Or like the weeds that were this high in some of the enclosures for like the big birds. And it just looked like nobody'd been there forever. Like the only thing that was being done was a constant new construction on the exhibits that were being built.
Wow.
It's sad.
What are some of the other taxes that are going on? I know that like with electric cars, and where do you see that in the future? That's going to be a whole new challenge for you.
That is going to be, when they have completely driverless cars, that is going to be really interesting to see how insurance companies pick that up. Because it could go either way. It could either be great and they'll be so much safer than people, or they could have all these malfunctions that ended up costing a lot.
It's really scary to think about.
Because I know Tesla had one malfunction, it's probably pre-COVID now, I can't remember, where it actually did hit somebody, but a gal, she didn't walk in front of the car, she kind of like walked into it, so it didn't pick her up. So there are lots of like glitches and things. So it wasn't the way I read it, obviously, I'm not part of that story, was it seemed like it was kind of a one-off where she didn't walk in front of it completely, she kind of walked as the car was coming and it hit her. And it didn't pick her up. So there are definitely going to be strange things about that. But the gas-powered car ban, that is going to be interesting. Because a lot of people, like, they want their gas-powered cars. And they don't have solar or, like, hybrid cars for, like, the old muscle cars. Or especially people that like their old classic cars or their big trucks or, tractors are never, well, they may at some point run on that. But right now, that's not going to be in the near future. So it's where does it
end? Who's going to get taxed? Or are they going to have tax?
Exactly.
You have to run tractors.
Exactly.
So okay.
And is it really helping? Is it really helping that much? Or are people going to be like trying to go around it and doing it anyway and basically revolting and doing what they want? I mean, I don't plan to get rid of my gas car. My dad has a Tesla. He loves it. He's had it for years. But part of that insulates you as far as how much gas is costing for the regular person too. Because in my business, a lot of like the commercial autos, I have, even in Texas, I have a girlfriend, they have a big recycle yard and they are spending about $35,000 a month on gas to run 8 cars or to run 8 trucks. And so some of the, like when our customers get audited and we're going through like the profits and losses and talking about gas, the gas is astronomical compared to what that expense used to be. And so people will be like, well, how could they possibly be spending that much? And I'm like, well, do you have an electric car? Like, when was the last time you got gas? Because every time I get gas, it's at least $125 to fill up my car. And if you have an electric car, then you don't feel that. It's
but you have
nice.
a high electric bill. Some of you don't have a solar panel house yet, because I did have a drive a 100% electric car for a few years.
That is true, but not everybody charges them at their own homes because like Tesla has charging stations.
Right.
So a lot of people are going to those Tesla charging stations, which are essentially free for them. So they're not picking up that cost at their house yet. Now I understand that they're taking that away. On the new Teslas, they're not going to be including that. So people will start feeling that part of it.
Really?
But yeah, that's what I read.
So the new Teslas, you're not going to be able to power it at the old Tesla charging
For free. For free. It won't be included.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you still can, but it's not going to be free
Good. No, I didn't
anymore.
even know that. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not going to be free anymore.
I get
to
it.
my
Okay.
knowledge. So yeah, so you're still, so if you're not going, and people, and people would be like, well, do you really need that big a car? And I'm like, well, it's just an SUV. It's not a bus, number one.
Some people do need that big of a car. Some people have the children that they and they carpool. It doesn't really. No one's here to judge. How can someone judge what you need and what you know?
Exactly.
Some people really do. So.
And that's not the point.
That's not the point.
Whatever car that you want. Not like you shouldn't have to think about. I mean, insurance. Now, if you have a young teen driver that's going to be 16 in a month, I don't suggest that you go buy him a red convertible Mustang because that is going to cost you a crazy amount of money.
Right.
And you probably will want to try to budget that. But when you're somebody like me, if I'm going, do I want
a working professional? Yeah.
Exactly. Do I want an SUV or do I need to get a smaller engine because I won't be able to afford the gas and the bigger one because it will go faster? You shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't even have to think about that part of it.
Right.
Gas shouldn't come into play.
So what are you noticing even on the insurance side? What are you noticing? Is there a lot of tax breaks for people that have the solar, that don't, that get electric? Is that helpful if I was to get your insurance or no?
Well, actually having the solar panels, if you own them yourself, actually adds a little bit to your replacement cost. It's good for you for your tax and energy bills. It's not like an extreme cost, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily.
So you don't recommend that? There's no really big break?
Not for insurance, for your insurance purposes.
Okay.
For tax purposes.
Yeah, so tax purposes, yes. Insurance purposes, not really. Same with cars, electric cars, whatever. There's no insurance.
Actually, for the Teslas in particular, they're quite pricey to insure because you can't just put them on any. So for roadside assistance, for one, if you I don't know, you said you had an electric car too.
Oh, I had a Fiat. It was.
But could you just have any tow company come pick that up?
I don't remember. I've always been with AAA.
Okay, because with Tesla you can't because it's a big battery, and if they damage that battery, they don't want to be responsible for that. So you have to have Tesla come and take that out. Or if you have body damage, if you get in an accident, you're going to need to take that to Tesla because the battery could be part of an issue. So all those things make those more expensive than a regular gas-powered vehicle.
But I should look into your insurance to see what the difference is of whatever.
Yeah.
I should totally. So, and that's pretty much. I'm sure you guys offer something if you get everything insured with you. The house, it's like a good deal to get it all.
Like a bundle, like this
a
Progressive.
Bundle, right?
And we actually have Progressive. It's one of our companies. Like when you see Flo and she's like a bundle. It absolutely makes a difference. Yes, if you have your home and your auto together, if you have an umbrella.
So when you say you work with Progressive, how do you work with these other insurance companies when you're an insurance company?
So we're an independent agent. So I'm actually a broker. So I represent those companies. So when you come to me, I can shop your insurance with Progressive and Hartford and Nationwide and Mercury and all the other major companies that you see out there on TV.
There's a vehicle in between, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm a vehicle in between. So I look at what you have and I quote it out and I let you know what's the most economical for the coverage for you. So
that's good. So you have a good relationships with pretty much all of these.
Exactly. We have a good relationship with them.
And you know the kind that are like the biggest rip-offs.
I know what to put.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure you won't tell us, so that.
Yes, I'm not going to say I don't suggest this company, and I'll be like, Liz. So we
But I imagine you work with the ones that you like a lot. Since you said Progressive, I'm imagining that's actually a better one.
I work with the ones that I like, that I trust, that I find provide good customer service. Because you never want an unhappy customer, even when there's a claim. Even though we don't do that in our office, if somebody's not happy with it, they still call, and then you feel like you can't. You can advocate on their behalf, but I want a company that has good customer service. They don't have to have that phone call where the customer's saying, they're not helping me. I try to place them with tried and true companies.
And you really go over with people about the trying to get fully covered instead of just liability and stuff. And what are your suggestions on that?
So unless you absolutely can't afford anything else, don't do state minimum required limits. They are not going to cover you. So I still am actually going through my book. That's not something that we write. Like if you come into my agency, I will never suggest those limits to you. When we write a policy that's that low, it's because the customer insisted on that.
And you come with a disclaimer that I'm not promoting this. This is not, you're not going to be covered.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't suggest this. We're writing this because this is what you had conveyed to us that you wanted. But if you were to get into a major accident, because if you think about it, it's not going to cover anything for you. Like if you imagine you hit a Tesla. If you have $10,000 for your property damage, the company's going to write a check for $10,000 and be like, that's it. The rest is on you. And the people are going to come to you personally, and you never want to be in that predicament. We don't want our customers to be in that
So you
predicament.
kind of prepare people about like some worst case scenarios like that when people are just thinking, oh, well, they're like, no, because even liability is not fully liable. You go over the differences. Okay.
Yeah, we go through over all the differences. Because technically, yes, you can get the state required minimum limits, and you'll be working within the confines of the state of California. Like, you'll have insurance, you have as much as you're required to have, but it just doesn't cover. And
uninsured drivers, there's a lot of those. There are a lot more than people know. A lot more than people think.
There's so many.
So you tell us what to get to avoid that, because I think it's happened to almost everyone I know has gotten hit by an uninsured driver.
Yes, and so that's like another thing that has been a challenge for us is when they first had uninsured motorists, you didn't have to prove that the other driver was uninsured, but they had such a run on claims where people were like knocking into their driveway, like the side of their garage on the way out, and they would hit the mirror and they'd be like, oh, somebody uninsured like hit me. And so the companies were like, this isn't working. The point of uninsured motorist is that you have the coverage on your own policy, but it's subject to your deductible. So you're not supposed to be.
People are messing up their cars.
Yes,
okay, I get it.
It's not so like some people
isn't that kind of like fraud?
Everybody.
That's fraud. That's considered insurance fraud if you get caught doing that, right? Yeah.
Yes, technically it is, but it just got to be so overwhelming that now you have to provide proof that they didn't have it. And so if there's a cop that comes to the scene or whatever, sometimes they'll note that, but it gets pretty sticky. But you will always have coverage on your own policy. It's just a matter of whether or not you have to pay your deductible. And the idea behind uninsured motorists is that you don't have to pay that deductible if the other party doesn't have insurance.
Wow, this is good to know. I need to have you come back like every couple of months to go over, because there's just so many questions. I'm sure like our viewers are going to have a bunch of questions for you as well.
Sure, like market updates, the world of insurance, yeah.
Where can people contact you to get, and then what's the best way to contact you?
We have a website. We've always, since we're a small business, we've always been a small agency. We have a website now, A to Z Insurance.com. So you can go there and you can request a contact, or you can just call our office.
And do you do like free consultations?
Absolutely, yeah, everything is free.
I bet that just gets a lot. Because you're so busy, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no obligation. And that's really important too, because some people are like, oh, we don't want to, like, it's free. And if I can't improve it for you or do better, then you don't have to switch it. But I can almost always, now that I've said that, I can almost always do better than what you have.
I believe it.
So, because a lot of people don't look at it for a long time. And you want somebody that's looking over it for you every year when it comes out.
Oh yeah, especially now that there's so many changes. I mean, that's kind of mind-boggling about how things are changing every year that we're just not paying attention to. I mean, it's impossible kind of for us to pay attention. That's why we should have somebody like you that's paying attention to tell us what.
Exactly, yeah. We look at the policies when they come through and we say this person, because I mean, I can look at a policy when it comes in and be like, this isn't enough insurance. I mean, when people bring in their policies with whatever the State Farm, also whatever it happens to be, when there's under $200,000 or even under $300,000 on a house, no matter how small the house is or where it is, you're underinsured. You can't rebuild anything for that right now.
Right.
So if your house is, if that's you, call us, call your agent, call somebody, and tell them, please look at this for me.
What other kind of advice do you guys offer? It was funny that you mentioned about backing up, hitting your mirror, and then saying someone else did it. That actually, I did that one time. I totally, completely like knocked my mirror off and everything. And I had a Nielsen dealership. I went there and I said, oh my God, how much is going to pay? And they said, you know what? We have another one. I think I paid like $20 to get that. people don't know these things.
Yes.
When people call you frantic, do you kind of try to direct them, well, see this place first or go to this by, and then if you can't, then we'll talk to the insurance? Do you do that?
So I don't have any body shops per se that I work with, except for the ones that the companies suggest. But I definitely do. If somebody does something small like that, I say go to the dealership, see if you can get a part, or go to the place that you like, tell them you're not going through insurance, see how much it's going to be. Because if
so they'll do the price quote, then they'll come back to you and you'll be like, oh, that's cheaper. No, come get this.
Exactly.
Okay,
Because if your accident or your incident is small, you don't want to put in a claim.
Oh yeah, no, I try to avoid it at all costs.
It makes your insurance go up. And that's one thing that I used to not tell people, because there was a general rule of thumb about raising your deductible. But I tell people now, even if that rule doesn't apply, even if the savings over 3 years doesn't match that difference, if you know you're not going to put in a claim for over a certain or under a certain amount, then just have $1,000 deductible, because some savings is no savings at all, and you know you're not going to turn that in because it'll just affect you adversely. And sometimes people are like, oh, I just have one, and then their kid like gets an accident, or their wife gets a ticket or something like that,
and then it all goes,
you can't help. I mean, you can't tell the cop, sir, you can't give me a ticket because I already have an accident.
Right.
Like,
one last thing before I let you go, DUIs. How do you get people insured for that sort of thing? I'm sure that's gone.
We have markets for that. That's not an issue. So if you have a need for lower limits, like if you're okay with just having the state required minimum limits for DUI, because a lot of people they just need, and it's more expensive when you have that. So if that's all they can afford and they just need to get something, your generals, or the general that you see on TV, like that's a good option. But if you have assets, call us. We have markets that will write you if you own your own home and you have your business and you have 3 cars and you own a boat and rental properties. You cannot obtain a policy with minimum limits if you own all of those things. You need a good policy with high limits, and that's where we can help you on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're going to come back a lot more than you probably even want to.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks.
Much for coming on my show today.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so you showed me some beautiful photos. Explain to me what you do.
I'm here in Fresno for a short time to bring people's dream homes to reality, because I believe that North Fresno and Central Fresno has an amazing potential to create amazing neighborhoods with designer, classy homes, and we start from the ground up. And we try to give people their dream home at an affordable price.
Clovis too, right?
Clovis too, yes.
So Okay, so where do you start? Like, you come in here, are you the one that designs it all? Do you the one that tears it down? You have a team of people that come in and just kind of like pimp everyone's house? How do you do it?
Pimp everyone's house, I like that. Well, it's kind of pimp my own homes, but so I do everything. I design it, I do the layout, I do the color scheme, the flooring. We do things like digital showers that you would find at a 5-star hotel, where you can turn it on, you can see the temperature, you can change the color on the faucet of the water pressure, the jets, everything. But we try to make these homes at an affordable price where it's between $299 and $400,000. So that way you cast a wider net. And for example, your dream home idea would be different to mine. But for most people, that is a mom and a dad and 2 children on limited income.
Right.
For them, that is an ideal home for them, and we just create it. And we make it happen.
How are you able to do that at an affordable rate?
With a lot of know-how, a lot of know-how in design, a lot of know-how in layout, color scheming, and fixtures. And you don't have to go out there and spend a lot of money if you know where to look. And that just comes with time and practice.
So you just have that know-how. You know how to find everything for a deal, pretty much.
Well, pretty much. I mean, it's a competitive market.
I'm sure it's been a little bit challenging because of COVID, because I know things went up a little bit because of that you were probably used to. Maybe
30%.
5 years ago, you went, you got things a lot cheaper.
Yeah. In fact, my first home I renovated here was up on Ashland. And we bought that home for, it was like $190,000. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And then we remodeled it and we sold it for over $300,000. And that was the house that brought up the rest of the homes in that neighborhood.
Oh, I bet.
And then we replicated that on Gettysburg, which is right down the street from there. And it was the best house on the street. And we did it like a French villa, because it had a pool, and we did like a canopy and a hammock, and redid the pool and these cool little fixtures inside there. And we also went as far as using your handprint for your front door access. So it's what you would find in a modern suite in New York City, but we do all that here.
So you're from Hawaii.
Correct, yes.
Is that something that's happening there? Is it more innovative with homes there, or that's just...
Sure. So I come from Europe originally. I'm from New Zealand.
Okay.
And I lived in Hawaii for 17 years.
Okay.
And in the developments in Hawaii for the Big Island and also for Oahu, because of the population in Honolulu, everything is building up. So we'd buy and sell hotels, and we'd remodel motels, and we'd remodel high-end homes on the ocean front for very rich people. So we would buy the home, we'd remodel it, and then we would sell it. And I remember there would be 20 bids for a home that's $7 million, you know what I mean? So after doing that for such a long time, I just sort of took a step back and I looked at where can my talents go? Where can I benefit somebody? And then Fresno came up. Because we have a huge influx of people coming from San Francisco, from the Bay Area, from Half Moon Bay. It's just they're selling their homes for $1.5 million, coming over here because you can work remotely. And COVID did that, actually. It opened up.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, it opened it up so where you could work remotely. And 90% of our clients that buy our homes are either medical professionals coming over that want a home at a really good price, or it's a family moving from the Bay to here. So, it's quite an interesting influx of diversity of people that buy our homes. But I always tell people our homes are put together for a certain client, which means that the client has to appreciate the fixtures, the color scheme, things like that. And it's all attention to detail, So when you have that particular type of person that's used to that, the homes sell very quickly.
So what I know is happening a lot is like you have a home for, starts at, 300,000, let's just say. And then, everybody wants that home.
Yeah.
And then everyone's matching a bid. Is that not how it's working in selling these homes, or is it similar? A little bit similar?
So it's usually a bidding war. We'll price it at, let's say, $399, right, for a home in Old Fig Garden that's just been remodeled, so $400,000. And then there'll be a bidding war. And before the interest rates started to go up, we were having bids that were over $60,000 over asking, and they will be prepared to, pay the difference, and that will all be in the contract, So, times are changing. Now it's a little bit less. It's a little bit more competitive, and we're slowly moving into a buyer's market, right? Because not everybody can afford the homes that they were able to afford back,
right.
4 months ago. But that being said, I haven't really seen a huge difference in volume, just less people wasting your time, where they really they are really pre-qualified.
So that's good. That's one less headache.
Yeah, it just makes everything so much easier and convenient, and we're not just flying blind,
Right. And so if somebody does have a fixer-upper and they want you to come in and do that, can you do that, or you have to buy the home yourself and start from scratch?
That's a very interesting question, Sparkle. So here's the thing. I have a way of doing things, and I look at opening up a space and utilizing that space to its full capacity. And that comes from working on apartments, high-end apartments, and oceanfront properties and things like that, to where the cost of real estate is so expensive that you have to maximize your space, right?
Right.
So if the client that comes to us and says, hey, would you mind we saw your work, we'd like to remodel our home, I would just lay it out for the client, and then we would go from there. But what I like to do is to buy the home, redesign it the way I would normally do it, with maximizing of space and class and style, and then put it on the market so people can see, oh my God, we had no idea this was here in Fresno, like the home I sent you in Old Figueroa. It's like we built like a Hawaii house. It was like you're in there, you have your hammock, and you have your lanai, you have a beautiful sail up there. It's quiet, big backyard, and you walk in, you shut the door, and you're in your dream house. And we built it to feel like it was Hawaii,
That is so incredible.
Just using the vegetation that was around. There was lots of trees out there. Oh my God, this is a Hawaii-style house, and it was a 1938 banner. And we bought that house for $197,000. We sold it for over $500, but we put about 100 grand into it, full remodel. And who purchased that house was a doctor from the Bay, and he was coming in. He wanted a manor-style home. He was a traditionalist, but he liked the old layout of the house, the old style. We kept the big, huge glass windows that were, 1 inch thick, that they don't make them anymore. But we did amazingly modern trimming around it, and amazing track lighting, and those kinds of digital showers, and faucets that you move your hand and they would just flow water. So things like that added a little bit of class to this home, and it moved really quick. It sold in like half a day. Yeah, it sold in literally half a day.
So where can we find all these things? What's your website? Where can we look to see if everyone watching is like, I want to get one of your homes?
Sure. So the company is called Ziggurat Investments. We are putting together a website, and you'll be the first to know when we launch it. We're putting together a social media page so people can contact us and just get ideas, of what can be done. And we're here for the community, so we'd like to see Fresno kind of grow. And you can do that by simply one house at a time. So, for example, you do a really good remodel on a house, it brings up the value of the neighborhood, then you buy the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and before you know it, you could turn, for example, the other side of Shaw on First Street into something like Van Ness, with just different clients and different homeowners and different kinds of homes. And it's very easy to do that. You just have to know what you're doing and how to do it.
Well, you said you're here for a limited time, so what's the story on that?
Sure. So I'm here for 3 years.
Okay.
And the plan is to try to get as much research as I can. So we're buying 10 homes a month in different zip codes.
Okay.
And then we're selling those homes. And then we're trying to figure out, what do people like? How much can they afford? What do properties sell in different zip codes? And we're kind of gathering all that information, because what we typically would like to do is to buy, a large block of land and put like 100 homes on them, which is modern. So it's sort of something you would see in Europe, where you have glass, steel construction, right? Mm-hmm. Your walls are all recycled material. You have solar panels built in, so you're off the grid, and it comes with a solar generator. So if you lose power, you can power your house for a week.
Wow,
with
that's
a pool
awesome.
And everything. Yeah. So the homes would start for a 2-bedroom, a double car garage with a pool, that would probably run around 300,000. And then for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, you're looking at about 500,000 or 600,000. But it is fully self-sustaining, and it is clean and green. Yeah.
Wow, that is so impressive. So after the 3 years, then where are you going to go back and do?
Well, I'm going to be heading back to San Francisco because I have property over there, and I love being by the ocean, of course. But I'm going to be, from what I can gather thus far in terms of Fresno, is that it has amazing potential. I will still be here to do stuff. I'll just be commuting, but I'd have all the information that I need to then put in more resources, financial resources, into growing each part of each zip code in Fresno, and just start one step at a time, and then of course spread out to Clovis and all that kind of stuff.
That is really awesome. That is so cool.
Flipping Fresno. There you go.
That's what we're doing.
Flipping Fresno. It's a great concept.
And when did you originally get here?
I got here in 2019, 2020. But I was back and forth to Hawaii all the time, but full-time since mid 2020, around July or so. Yeah.
Okay, so you just have like another year, a year and a half here to really...
Another year and a half, yeah, another year, but it's fun, it's exciting, and I'm just excited to keep doing more of this stuff and just try to tell people, hey, you don't have to settle for a home that you don't like just because it's a price. You can get the same thing of what you want at the same price. You just have to, they are out there, and we want to be the ones that can bring that to the community, basically. Yeah.
So if somebody does want to hire you and says, no, but we want you to like really give us a home or do that, you can't really do that. You make the house first and nobody gets dibs. Isn't it like?
No, I mean,
because I'm sure people come up to you and they see what you do and they say, I want you to do that for me. So what's the answer to that?
I would do that, no problem. I would just walk them through everything, get it all signed off, and then we would just bring in my team and we'd just remodel it. And we typically like to do a remodel in between 2 to 4 weeks. So from acquisition to sale is 4 weeks, yeah.
And so how was it that fast?
Efficiency, it's efficiency, because we do everything. We'll gut the walls, redo the walls, we do the electrical,
but even
we do
finding
the
the supplies, that was another problem with COVID. It was even getting supplies at a certain time. But you haven't run into those challenges right now?
No, I just knew where to look, and just relationships over the years in the industry.
That is crazy. Yeah. You are something.
It's been a fun journey, and Olivia actually loves to go through all the homes, and she comes to work with Daddy and tells me what color walls we have to paint.
How old's Olivia?
She is 6.
Wow.
Yeah, she's 6. But I've been going over. It's interesting to see what she, being such a young child, how she can see things, and she asks me questions like, is that door going to be done this way? What color is that wall going to be? I do like that light. Oh, Daddy, the showers look amazing. So it's really nice to see children at a young age appreciate those things, and just learning work ethic. And I think that's, if we can as parents do anything for our children, I think work ethic and never giving up. Following your dreams, things like that. So that's it's very exciting, inspirational. So she's going to be doing homes one day. Yeah.
So right now we don't have a website, we don't have social media. How can we contact you?
Well, you can contact me actually through. That's a very good question. Through you, I guess.
Do you have an email that you can give out?
Sure, absolutely. My email is very simple. It's my first and last name. It's Darren Fox, Darren, last name Fox @me.com.
Oh.
DarrenFox@me.com.
So then, so you will respond to emails. So
absolutely,
that's
emails.
What everyone needs to do. Respond to you for the emails. And what was the name of that company one more time?
It's called Ziggurat Investments LLC. Ziggurat. Yeah.
Love that. How long have you been with that? How long have you?
I'm from that company way back. We around 2007, something like that. So we've been doing it for a while.
So it's here and where else?
Hawaii and Fresno, San Francisco, San Diego, Monterey.
So it's just going to branch out. Well, we're very lucky to have you here. Thank you so much for coming to the Valley.
It's been a pleasure being here. And when we do get the website launched, I'm sure I'll pass that on. And it would be really cool I love the concept of flipping Fresno. I think it's very catchy, and I'm excited about it.
I'm super
Have a
excited
TV
about
show
this.
out of it or something like that.
I think we got to do that. Thank you so much for coming on my show, Darren.
Thank you so much for having me, Sparkle, and Olivia too.
Bill is back.
We're back. Yeah.
And we have so much stuff going. I'm really excited. Like, we have like 3 events in the next 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
Well, yeah, because this is September, October, November. Okay, so tell us what we got going on.
Well, we got the Quirks and Kegs this Saturday.
Which I'm going to go to. I'm so excited.
Yes,
My first time.
Your first time. There you go. Just behave yourself. And
Well, you didn't tell me that. Bill.
then 4 to 9 this Saturday, and the cost is $35 to get in.
That's not bad at all.
No, per person. Of course, if you want the VC9 tour, the presidential airplane tour, that's extra $10.
Ooh.
And you can buy the tickets at the door. If you
Even for that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. We'll
So I can upgrade mine?
You can upgrade.
Oh.
Yeah, if you can upgrade if you wish. We have we're going to have food this year, as well as the beer and the wine, and we're going to have a separate portion of the museum where you can purchase from the vendors, not just taste. So that was something that we had set up as well. And,
Wow.
yeah. So people wanted to come in and they really liked what they tasted,
And they wanna buy it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they
they
couldn't
couldn't buy
take.
the
But we
full.
weren't allowed to do that. We figured out how to do that with the local authorities, and so that's an added feature.
That is so cool.
Right, and then the whole museum will be open, and you can walk around all 38 acres, and the F-16 will be open. We're going to have the VC-9 will be open, and I think we may have the KC-135 open.
What's that?
That's the refueling airplane, Boeing 747.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that refuels. And then that's called the City of Atwater. And we got that. I think that's going to be open. And then from there, we will shut the museum kind of down a little bit once it gets dark, just because we don't want a lot of people out in the back 40, when it's, because we don't have any lighting back there. But we're bringing in light carts for the main portion of the Beer and Wine Festival. But a lot of people wanted to see the whole museum.
I
Just
bet.
not, because we had it roped off last time.
Oh.
Yeah, and just because we wanted to kind of contain it. But people want to say, well, I spent $35, I want to see the whole museum. And a lot of people have never been there, So we decided this year
I
we'll
love
open it up
that.
until it gets dark, and then we'll have to kind of push everybody towards the main event.
The Playboy plane, did that come in yet?
Yes, the Black Bunny Phantom, which is what Drew is salivating over. Yeah, we've had some news on that. We're going to go down and pick it up probably in late October, towards Halloween. So it should be here, and then we'll put it probably in a restoration hangar, and then the guys will start to sand on it when it comes in line for its turn, and we'll get a new paint job on it, and then we're going to put it out on display. So, yeah, we've had a lot of new things come since I've been here last time.
Really? So what else has come in?
Well, the F-117, the stealth fighter, it arrived from Tonopah here 2 months ago now.
Oh my gosh, so I
Yep.
haven't even seen it.
No,
Okay.
you haven't seen that. And so it's in the hangar now. And we got to put the wings back on it. And then Dave Teeters from Airmotive Specialties over in Salinas, they're refabricating the parts that the Air Force took off and that were still classified. So Lockheed gave us all the drawings to be able to reduplicate that, so the airplane looks like it's like it's a full airplane again. So he's going to do that for us, and so then the guys will paint it, and we'll have it put out on the grounds hopefully sometime this time next year. And then the new addition that we got, which everybody will be able to see, is the Blue Angel airplane, the F-18 Blue Angel. Yeah. It's a real life Blue Angel. It's not a facsimile.
So when's everyone going to get to see that?
You can see it. It's on display right now.
So Saturday? Saturday night? So that
Saturday
is
night.
really impressive.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Came in a couple of weeks ago. It was on all the news medias, and then Worldwide Aircraft Recovery put it all back together, and and then we're going to spin it around so it's not facing, you know, the other way. And then, so we're going to have that, and you can go out and look at it. But it's a real Blue Angel airplane. It's not a F-18 that's painted up to be like, you know, the Blue Angels. It's one of the retired Blue Angel airplanes.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, and then open cockpit is going to be
Yes.
on October
October the 8th.
October the 8th, which is a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Yep. And we're looking at right now probably have 20 to 25 airplanes open.
So that's 9 to 4, and then we're going to finally get our helicopter ride?
Yes, the helicopter. Yes, the helicopter rides have been okayed, and they've confirmed last week. Joe told me that.
That's so cool, because we haven't had that, I mean, since I've been around.
I think we had it. No, you're right.
We haven't had it since I've been
No,
around, yeah.
Haven't had it. So they confirmed. Well, the problem was, one was COVID, having people in the helicopter that's just such in close quarters. But then last year we had the heat, but also avgas was at $8 a gallon, and it was just crazy expensive.
Right.
So they just decided not to go ahead and come down at the very last minute. But that's okay. And so, but they said they're going to come down this year, and we're going to have a good time with it, I think.
I'm excited to finally go do the helicopter ride.
Yeah.
I've never been in a helicopter ride.
Well, it's an adventure. It's an adventure. And so, yeah, and then in November, we have the car show. So the 5th of November. So we're looking at, right now, between 300 to 400 cars that we'll have. It'll be like the
That many?
yeah.
I guess Castle is the place to do it, because you guys have enough space.
Yeah, 38 acres worth. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cars.
It's a lot of
I
cars.
don't think I've ever been to a car show with that many cars. Like,
Yeah,
well,
it's from the numbers that we're hearing from the promoter that we're working with that does this kind of thing. That's the numbers that he's shooting us.
and that's Saturday, November 5th.
Correct.
Wow, there's
Yeah.
nothing better than cars and planes. That's like you get everything at that time.
Yeah, we're having a lot of events in such a short period of time, but that's okay. You know, we've had a long hot summer,
That's very true.
and the attendance record has
Drop
not,
because
it's
yeah,
just-
because you have to be outside to see the planes. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. You know, when it gets after 11 o'clock, 11:30, you know, the attendance drops off. And the problem is with that is that we rely on gate attendance a lot to pay things like salaries and PG&E bill and all that kind of stuff. So the summer months, if it's really brutal, can be kind of brutal on the pocketbook. And then, of course, then we go into winter. And if we have a heavy rain year, then of course, you know, it's kind of the same effect with the attendance. If we have a drought year, the temperatures stay up, and so a little warmer, so it's easier for families to come out and you know, and bring their kids and tour the museum. But fortunately, we don't have the winters that we had, you know, back when I was a kid, when it was so foggy you couldn't see across the street. Those winter seems to be, you know, gone away, which is good for us. We do have our fog days, but there's not near as much as it was, you know, years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited about all these events we have coming up. So they're all Saturdays, so that's
Yes,
good.
yeah. And we are going to have a shuttle that's going to take people from the museum over to the restoration hangar, the building where you saw the F-100 that Neil Armstrong flew.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's where the 117 is. So we're going to give free shuttles over there so they can see the stealth fighter.
So we don't have to walk so much?
No, that's like 3 miles. 3 miles away. No, you won't have to walk.
You're like, oh, no, that's really cool. Oh, that'll be so great. So everyone's really going to have an adventure this year.
Yeah.
This is like the first year in a while because, you know, there was COVID, and then like you said, last year they closed the museum. So this is like the first kegs and course that we were having everything that we've had in a while, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're full-blown
And the first time you could
events.
buy a full drink and all of it. So it's a really
correct.
special time to come.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
And then you got some media out there and some.
I believe so. Yeah, it'll be local media probably from Merced, but that's fine. I mean, you know, they do a great job in covering everything that we do. The other things that the other airplane that's soon to be put out is the A6 Intruder.
What's that?
That's an attack airplane by the Navy, and we got that a couple of years ago, and it was the close-up airplane that was in the movie The Flight of the Intruder.
Okay.
So it's kind of a movie jet. And then, so that's...
Did I see it?
You may
It wasn't
not
in the
have.
restoration
No.
when I went. Okay.
No. But the guys, Jeff Heyer, who's our restoration manager, Jeff and his guys, they're sanding it down now and getting ready to paint it, I believe. And I think they were kind of hoping maybe to get it out for open cockpit. But we'll see, how it all kind of goes. The other two things is we got the 2 more helicopters coming from Barbers Point, Hawaii. And but the restoration guys, they did a bang-up job on the Seahawk. Completely repainted it, gloss gray, black markings. You just got to go out and just take a look at it. I mean, the guys just did a beautiful job on it.
How long does that take? About, give or take?
Yeah, it could be probably depends on how many people you have working on it, but it could probably be a 4 to 5 week, project, just in sanding and painting.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's, and then after that, we're going to do I believe the F-102, our 1954 F-102 Interceptor will be painted. Hopefully we get that back out on the grounds, and then we can get the 117 done, or however it is that, Jeff decides to do it.
How many planes are there currently?
Right now, the 117, the A6, and the F-102. So we got 3 of them in there right now. And so it's kind of jammed up with 2 more helicopters coming. The Black Bunny Phantom.
So there's a rush to get these out so you can put the new ones in there.
Well, it just takes time, because not only do you just repaint it, but you're also fixing a lot of things that we've talked about this before, corrosion problems.
Right.
Because like the helicopters are coming from Hawaii, well, that's all salt air, and versus the Black Bunny Phantom that came from, Arizona, where it was in dry storage, for years. So it's probably not nearly as bad. But you still got to fix these things before you paint them, and then you put them out on the grounds, and that's the challenge. And we're talking about supply issues. At one time, paint has become a major problem in trying to get, and the color that kind of plugs up the whole supply chain issue, believe it or not, is white.
I believe it.
Because you got to use white to mix other colors, and if you can't get white,
Then you can't mix it.
Then you can't mix it. Yeah, and so a lot of the guys, a lot of times you have projects that are just on hold because you just can't paint them, because you just can't get the you can't get the paint. So, but we've had good luck with that, and the guys are sanding and they're painting now. So supply chain issues have kind of gotten a whole lot better, right? But yeah, we're real excited. Next year is going to be a real good year for us. We're going to have a full-blown event calendar, and we're looking for an event to do something in the middle of the summer, because we can't go 4 or 5 months without an event. So we're looking for something, a crafts fair, in the early mornings. We're possibly kicking that around. So if any of your viewers have have any ideas, call the museum, talk to Joe Peruzzo. He'll be more than happy to go ahead and do run it down the chain, and we'll have Don Covington, who does our events, get a hold of you.
What about Jazz Festival?
Hasn't been brought up, but there you go. There's one. The problem is with Atwater and Fresno's the same way, anywhere in the valley. You get in July and August.
It's just really hot.
It's brutal. Nobody wants to go outside. So we're trying to maybe doing 3 or 4 events maybe in the evening time.
Well, that's what I
Black
had
Horse and
suggested about.
Gigs.
Let's all do nighttime things, night times.
Exactly. And with daylight savings time being as long as it is during those months, it doesn't get dark till 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, so you really can have something good pop off at 6 p.m. Yeah.
It's just getting the people who want to come out, in that kind of heat. But but that's okay. We'll figure it out. The Blue Angel airplane is going to be parked right next to Miss Sparkle.
Then I'll get to spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah, we decided where we're going to put it, and
how do you guys make the decisions?
Well, it's just kind of came down to, that's part of the teen series of airplanes. So you have 18, 16,
Yeah, it makes
15.
sense.
Yeah. And then we're putting the Thunderbird Phantom and the Blue Angel, or the S model, the Black Bunny Phantom together. And those are gonna be on the other side of the F-15.
And you said open cockpit day is going to be 25 planes out?
We should have roughly 25 airplanes open.
And how many are we going to see on Saturday?
All 80.
All 80?
Yeah.
Why do we get to see more Saturday than we get to see at open cockpit?
Open cockpit means that we're going to have about 25 airplanes open.
I understand.
With the cockpits open. On Corks and Kegs, we're only going to have maybe 3. Where you can look in.
Yeah, for the most part, it's going to be close, you can see them.
Right,
okay.
right.
Well, that'll be really exciting. And then when the car show, do people get to kind of see the planes as well with that, or just?
We'll probably have the F-16 open. Probably have one of the tankers open. The VC-9 will be open. We may have 3 or 4 airplanes open because we like to do that, as well, because it gives people something else to kind of look at besides the cars, which is amazing.
That is really amazing. I'm really impressed about that. I can't even believe you're getting that many cars in there. That's really cool.
Well, that's the numbers that we're being shot at right now from the people who we're dealing with, who's going to help us with it.
I work classic car events all the time, and I've never seen anything to that multitude. But you guys have the space, so it makes sense.
Right, exactly. Most time when you go to a car show, it's in a parking lot.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're kind of next to each other. Where with us, you could be 20 feet, in between cars.
I love that. That is going to be so exciting. Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah. So, the museum grounds can be utilized for a lot of things, for things like that. And we even thought about maybe like an RV show. Have different RV guys come out and bring their airplanes and put them, or their RVs and put them around the airplanes, that kind of thing. But we haven't really gotten that far yet.
I mean, the grounds are so great. The possibilities are endless. So that's why. So everyone needs to come with their ideas for events, because this is awesome.
Yeah, if you're at Corks and Kegs, grab a board member and you'll see them. They got a name tag, and say, hey, I got an idea for you guys to have an event, and we would be more than happy to listen to you. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Bill.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be on the 200th anniversary.
I know, we turned 200. I mean, it's
200. Oh. It's always a pleasure. You do a great job for us, and we really appreciate everything you do.
Well, it's one of my favorite places, is Castle Air Museum.
Yeah.
And I'll see you Saturday night.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll be there.
I promise I'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you for watching our 200th anniversary of Everything Sparkle. We hope to give you great episodes every week, and if you want to be on the show, please DM me.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here. Oh, I must confess, dear. Don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do. And there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't wanna be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend, playing pretend, playing pretend, ooh, playing pretend.
It's a mystery.